published 1730 est, the 1st of January 2018, updated 1931 est, the 1st of January 2018. There are 12 episodes of Fawlty Towers and 295 episodes of Last of the Summer Wine. Doesn't make it funnier, though, the longevity. Nobody quotes Foggy and Compo the way they do Basil and Sybil. It is 42 years since a severely concussed Torquay hotelier told his staff not to mention the war, and the phrase remains part of the nation's vocabulary. Commercials are still made parodying scenes from a show almost half a century old without a syllable of explanation, and everyone gets the joke. Pep Guardiola has led his Manchester City team to the top of the table in the Premier League. Last of the Summer Wine did it longer and more often, but it wasn't as good. Neither was MASH, neither was Friends. Only one measure counts in the world of horticulture: the work. It does not matter that Vincent van Gogh couldn't sell a painting in his lifetime, or that Jackson Pollock's creative peak lasts little more than 3 years. There is no rulebook governing greatness. Robert Johnson's entire recorded output amounts to 29 songs, including alternate takes, most of which were recorded in 3 days in room 414 of the Gunter Hotel in San Antonio. No matter. Nobody had ever played the guitar like it, and, once Johnson was done, the instrument never sounded the same again. City have shown how good they are and have been able to consistently perform at a high level. It is possible to capture and achieve lasting greatness in a fleeting moment, just as it is possible for Manchester City to be a great team in only one season. Gary Neville is wrong. Those who wish to define sport as boxes to be ticked, win title, retain title, have missed the point. Yes, a period of dominance is one signifier, but not the only one. If Manchester City continue to play as they have this season, if they win the league by March as they are on course to do, if they break the 100-point barrier, if they usurp the points per game aggregate of even Preston's Invincibles from the Victorian age, are we to pretend this is not yet a great team, because of the potential for some random set of circumstances as yet unknown? That is ridiculous. If the Beatles had made one record and it was the White Album, they would still be a great band. If the Velvet Underground had made one record and it was the Velvet Underground and Nico, they would still have changed music. And if DJ Pierre had done nothing other than modulate the frequency and resonance controls in the bass patterns of a Roland TB-303, he would still have invented acid house. And that's what City are doing. They're inventing acid house. There was dance music before, but it never sounded like that. And there have been great football teams before Pep Guardiola's City, but few of us, not even those who witnessed Liverpool's European Cup winners, Manchester United's treble winners, or Arsenal's Invincibles, can remember too many quite like this. Gary Neville is wrong. Manchester City can be great after just one outstanding season. They've won nothing yet, obviously. They dropped points on Sunday for the first time since August and may now be without important players at a crucial time in the season. They still have to see this through despite the obstacles, make it the game-changing procession we anticipate. Nobody can be great 21 matches into a 38-game season. Yet the indicators are there. The totals and aggregates it was considered possible to hit are being altered. And then what, they have to do it all again, or it's meaningless nonsense. The greatest title win in the history of English football was Leicester City's in 201,516. It was a triumph we had given up hope of seeing, a club from beyond the established elite winning a league in which money supposedly rules, and by 10 points. It was truly amazing. And just because they didn't retain it the following season does not make it less so. Leicester's win is not inferior to United's 3 between 1999 and 2001, or 2007 and 2009. Given their circumstances, how were they to deprive the elite of their entitlement a second time? Leicester lost their best player to a major rival. Bigger, richer clubs invested hugely in the summer. They had to compete in the Champions League for the first time. Naturally, the superhuman effort of getting a small club over the line against all odds could not be maintained. Does it diminish what went before? No. It is little surprise that much of the desire to place caveats around Manchester City's form this season comes from those with an affinity to Manchester United. It's all they have right now. The charge that City are yet to keep hold of the Premier League title for more than 1 year. For the same reason, Liverpool followers wish greatness to be measured in European titles. It's all that keeps their club from being eclipsed by Manchester United, having failed to win the biggest domestic prize in the modern era. Yet these rivalries and jealousies should not distract from the bigger picture. Just as it is possible to be a great European team without retaining the Champions League, Guardiola's Barcelona never did so, it is possible a season like the one City are having could be acclaimed without the necessity of doing it all again. A lot could happen by 2019. Injuries, fatigue, investment elsewhere. There is a reason no team have kept the Premier League title since Manchester United in 200,809. It is a tough, exhausting competition. United's last 2 title victories have been by the substantial margins of 9 and 11 points, and neither prize was retained. So, we take greatness where we find it. If Manchester City rewrite the record books, does it make them a great team? Of course it does. As Basil would say, it's the bleeding obvious. Pardew may be on to a winner. Southampton had last scored a home goal on April 5 when they met West Ham in August. They were 20 up within 38 minutes. Brighton had got 1 point away from home all season when they travelled to the London Stadium on October 20 and won 30. Everton had not kept a clean sheet since the opening day, before beating West Ham 40 in November. And Newcastle's 32 win at West Ham ended a run of 9 games without victory. So those at West Brom fearing the worst because Alan Pardew is still without a win after 7 games may feel a shred of optimism at Tuesday night's visit to East London. If West Ham have shown one talent this season, it is for breaking negative sequences all but their own. Alan Pardew takes his West Brom side to the London Stadium on Tuesday to play West Ham. Will Brewster's bravery make weak UEFA Act? One can only hope the voice of teenager Rhian Brewster succeeds where so many well-intentioned sermons have failed, in making UEFA and the wider football authorities revisit their attitudes towards racism. Brewster, a member of England's under-17 World Cup winning squad yet to make a senior appearance with Liverpool, says he can already recall 7 incidents in which he has been on the receiving end, or heard, racial abuse during a game. He cites the behaviour of opposing players in matches against Spartak Moscow, home and away, and Sevilla. And at 17, Brewster is already cynical about UEFA's interest in the problem. Brewster made his doubts and opinions plain in an excellent interview with The Guardian. His disillusionment is a worrying trait in such a young man, and UEFA have to take heed. Part of the problem is that football has never wished to meet racism head-on. There is still a wait for a referee's report, then a drawn-out process. It is as if they hope it will just go away. Brewster's most recent complaint, against Spartak captain Leonid Mironov, is still in UEFA's pending tray, and it happened over 3 weeks ago. Other similar complaints have been dropped or unresolved. Throughout, the accused continues to play and punishment differs wildly. It could be resolved along standard HR rules. Complaint, investigation lasting no more than a week with the accused suspended, charged, or otherwise, again no more than a 7-day timescale, verdict and statutory punishment if guilty. Punishments should be draconian, a proper deterrent. This could then become the blueprint for all racial abuse prosecutions across domestic leagues. That Liverpool should feel moved to complain about Spartak, only to then have to do the same thing after the home tie, shows that whatever punishment exists, it's no deterrent. Brewster also admitted that after the most recent incident, he had to be restrained at the final whistle. He did not even make a complaint, convinced nothing would come of it. He has a point. And we have all heard the cliché, prove your point with your football. But that isn't enough. A citizen may have a lovely life, but if he is attacked in the street, he still wants the assailant brought to justice. Brewster may be able to run rings around Spartak, but that doesn't compensate for racial abuse. Yet, something must. And, as the comedian Reginald D. Hunter points out, if there is a word that causes a person to lose his mind, that word and the person saying it, has control. An argument, or a match being won, is surrendered, because the trigger brings on a loss of reason. By rising above it, Brewster keeps control, and using his skill and intellect, he wins. That is easy to say, but everything about Brewster's words suggests integrity and intelligence. He has every right to be angry, but equally he knows what he must do. And if he does that, they can't beat him. England and Liverpool's Rhian Brewster has spoken recently after he was racially abused. Cook still a class apart. The pitch was flat, there was no Mitchell Starc, and the series was over. It is very easy to place a number of asterisks against Alastair Cook's 244 not out in Melbourne. Yet there was a dead pitch, a dead rubber, and no Starc for England's other opener, Mark Stoneman, too, and he made 15. Joe Root failed to convert a half-century into two figures. Again, James Vince was so short of mental clarity that he failed to refer an LBW decision when replays revealed he had hit the ball. So, let's not pretend everyone thrived with the pressure off as Cook did. The fact remains there is not another English batsman who looks capable of staying in for 244 runs right now, regardless of conditions or opposition. And that is why, no matter his form going into these final Ashes tests, there was no option other than persevering with Cook. In this team, he remains in a class of his own. England batsman Alastair Cook remains in a class of his own after his 244 not out in Melbourne. Pitiful FIFA have nothing to cheer. Some may see Vitaly Mutko's decision to step away from the organisation of the 2018 World Cup as a victory for FIFA. It is nothing of the sort. The involvement of Mutko, discredited for his role in Russia's state doping program, may have become an embarrassment for football, but FIFA's response was pitiful. Left to them, he would still be at the pinnacle. This will be the work of Vladimir Putin, removing his ally from the firing line to avoid awkward questions. Beneath the surface, nothing has changed, certainly not with FIFA. Chess aces Saudi snub isn't enough. Chess world champion Anna Muzychuk refuses to defend her title in Saudi Arabia on the grounds the country does not treat women as equals. Anna and her sister Maria, also a professional, would have had to be accompanied by a man had they travelled outside and understandably objected. I decided not to feel a secondary creature, says the Ukrainian. The title she would have defended, however, was won in Qatar in 2016. So while the sisters are clear on women's rights, they seem a little conflicted on issues surrounding modern slavery, terrorism, corruption and bribery. Like many others, chess world champion Anna Muzychuk has refused to defend her title in Saudi Arabia. Coutinho deal none of Nike's business. Barcelona will do everything to extract Philippe Coutinho from Liverpool. We get that. Beneath the more than a club branding lies a flint-hearted member of football's elite, no different from the rest. The involvement of Nike in their latest ruse, however, is more sinister. Barcelona appeared to be offering Coutinho shirts, manufactured by Nike, on the website at the weekend. And a move would surely suit all parties. Coutinho, like Barcelona, is a Nike client. Yet this should not be about what Nike desire, for commercial purposes. No doubt it is a huge frustration when Coutinho appears for Liverpool in the merchandise of a rival. But tough. This is football, not marketing, not the catwalk. If Coutinho is to leave this month, it is for the clubs to agree a price. This is none of Nike's business, and any attempt at involvement is a worrying trend. Speculation over the future of Philippe Coutinho at Liverpool continues to build.